Okay. Good morning, Nina.
Good morning. Oh my gosh, Cindy, I could not wait to spend this time with you. I could not wait to see you this morning. You are amazing and an abundance of an asset to our Toastmasters Club. And I could not wait to just interview you. You're so fascinating. I wanted to really hear your journey. And I also wanted others to learn from you so that they can feel comfortable, they can get to know who you are and understand how Toastmasters has had a place in your life. So if you're okay with us proceeding with the questions, I would love to proceed with our first question.
Absolutely. You always know how to make a girl feel good. So thank you.
So, Cindy, please tell us about your journey as a leader, as a public speaker, and just even what inspired you to become a part of Toastmasters.
That's a great question and $1 million question for me. Nina, I started Toastmasters in 1999. So at the time, I came here because I wanted no one to know me. I wanted to add a sense of humor so that into my background so that I could share my story of having all the surgeries that I had. And then I had two near-death experiences, and nobody wants to talk about IBS. So I decided I needed to learn how to have a sense of humor and to learn to share a story. So I was referred to Toastmasters, and my first experience wasn't very good. It was six football players sitting there telling jokes when I walked in, and I tried to leave, but someone put their hand on my shoulder and said, "Sit." So I sat and I stayed. And then every meeting, I kept bringing more females because it was all men sitting there to the meeting. I had no idea what Toastmasters was about for about a year. And I was
Wow.
told never tell anybody that story. So I
Mm.
showed up, and the next thing I know, I kept getting promoted to an officer, and then I was an officer of every role. I always decided that I didn't want to complain about anything, so I would just do the role. And so I kept taking every role. And one thing I'd learned is never be absent during elections because I
Mm.
was voted in as president. And then I became president, and then someone tapped me on the shoulder to be an area. Back then it was governor. And I was an area governor, and I went to training, and I was like a kid in a candy store. And I saw the district governor, and I said, "Oh my goodness, Toastmasters does training," because of the club and chapter that I was in. And she said, "Shh, don't tell anyone that." And then they announced a conference. And I said, "A conference with real life speakers?" And when I went, it's what I wanted to do. And I never left. And it's 24 years later. And I kept
Wow.
moving up until I eventually became district governor over all 6,000 Toastmasters in all of Georgia. District 14 and 44 was one district. I had 100 people underneath me. And then again, I didn't want anyone to know me. And a year later, after that journey, was asked to be one of the first region advisors. And I reported to the board, and I had 5 states and 2 countries underneath me. And as much as I didn't want to be known, my campaign was everybody knows Cindy Cannon. And so that's how
Wow.
I started and uh, began my career with Toastmasters.
My goodness, Cindy. So we've been a part of the same club, and I had no clue all of those things. 24 years, one, that's impressive. Okay. That's
Thank
so
you.
long standing to commit to something because sometimes it's easy to feel like I have it all figured out, so I no longer need this. And yet you've just proven that as great as you are as a public speaker, being able to be an inspiration to so many people with your health journey, you still yet see the value and saw the value and being a part of Toastmasters and having that longevity. And that kind of leads me to what I was going to ask you next. What fears did you have for signing up for your first speech? And even like that first role, like what were those thoughts? Were you intimidated? Were you feeling weird? Did you feel like, let me go in? What were your real thoughts and fears during all that time? And how did you overcome them?
Well, that's funny that you say that because I never had any fears when I first started. And I had a big ego being a sales rep. And I didn't want anyone to know me. And when I came, I just would speak because I was working really hard to add my humor in there. So I had a very big ego back then. Everybody had been in Toastmasters for 20 to 50 years when I started. So I was
Wow.
impressed, just like you are, because people stayed for a long time. And I was like a kid getting candy in a chocolate store. And I just wanted to learn and soak up as much as I could. I speak better in front of thousands of people than I do one-on-one. And I got so nervous writing my presentations out. Now, I will surprise a lot of you because I write an outline, but I don't write my speech out. And I never did when I first started. And so
I love that.
I've done the work of over 3 DTMs so far, and I've opened up 92 Toastmaster clubs. That's how much I believe in it. But in doing the work that I did, I had more fear going into a company and opening up a Toastmaster club because I wanted them to have the love for it that I did. But the employees didn't want to be there because their managers were forcing them. So I had to learn how to share what I learned and what it did for me to see if it would do the same for others. And either you love Toastmasters or you don't. And you can tell when you meet someone that doesn't know what Toastmasters is, and when someone does and they have that smile like I should have done it and now I'm caught. And I think everybody should run their company the way Toastmasters runs their company. It's very successful in how they do it. And I wouldn't change my experience at all for anything.
Wow. I think that's refreshing to hear. I think sometimes people are afraid to be honest about their feelings. The fact that you said that it wasn't the larger numbers that intimidated you or made you feel weird. You actually thrived in those environments. So for someone who does feel like I can do this, there's nothing wrong with feeling that way. Not everybody comes to Toastmasters feeling afraid to speak. Some people want to be a part of it because they know they thrive in that space. And that's to me refreshing to hear you be honest and own that and to say that. A question that I had, because listening to some of the things you said made something spark up. One, you're full of surprises. Okay. Anybody watching this, you need to come to one of our Toastmasters meetings and watch how Cindy does any role that she's in. Not only does she, I would say, rock out the moment, but she has a way of edifying the people who she serves so that you never leave the same. You always feel impacted and empowered. Watching something and listening to what you said, you mentioned all these responsibilities that you had. Now, don't get me, Cindy, this isn't a part of the questions I sent you, but it's a good question because when you brought that up, it made me wonder, how did you balance your responsibilities? For someone who feels like, oh my gosh, I can't afford it, right? Even though we know good and well that Toastmasters is so affordable, it's $110 a year. And that is including everything you get with it, the trainings, all of the pathways. It's like so much that you're getting into this one bundle versus if you paid a consultant $250 an hour to train you. You mentioned these things and having all these responsibilities. How did you balance your personal responsibilities with your Toastmaster obligations? And how can you help somebody watching this feel more comfortable at knowing they can manage that?
That's a great question and another $1 million question. I became, because of Toastmasters, an expert in time management. You cannot afford not to do it. Just like exercising. If I don't exercise, I will be sick. It's that simple. If I don't come to Toastmasters, you lose what you have been working on. You lose. I came to slow down my pace because I'm from Philadelphia and I talk very quick. I had to learn how to have a sense of humor, and Toastmasters had those objectives for me to be able to teach me how to tell a joke, how to be able to share, how to become a great leader. As a manager at the time, I was managing 25 people that were all very successful way back then. And it was very hard to leave my role, but I put Toastmasters as a priority. I believe that in your calendar, you should be able to have your business and your personal in there. And
Wow.
emotionally, physically, spiritually, I put everything into the same calendar. I have one calendar. I actually create my own calendar now after looking for the right calendar, but it's very important to make time. So I plan by the hour. I live in the now. I don't live in the past. It's not going to catch up with me. I
Mm.
plan for the future, but if it's not planned, it's not going to happen. And I spend 3 to 4 hours on a Sunday planning so that I can walk into Monday and just have my week and live my life to the fullest. And that's why I can do what I do.
So you spend, so on a Sunday, you'll spend 3 to 4 hours. It's almost like, it reminds me of Stephen Covey when he said, if he had a tree to chop down, he would spend the bulk of his hours sharpening his axe versus the tree. Because
That's
sometimes
exactly right.
we're trying to go to that project with dull tools and tools that are not sharpened and not equipped, don't have the capacity to help us tackle the task. But you're saying by creating this definite time, this measurement of time each Sunday, now you've been able to go into your week with it, with a flow of it, so that you still can be a part of Toastmasters.
Absolutely. It's planned in
Wow.
there. And I feel like if I miss it, I'm missing something. And also now it's about giving back. With
Mm.
a 24-year period, I have so much still to learn and I learn every day. But I pick out different chapters to visit and to go to, as well as be part of, that are going to help elevate me to the next level. Dwight Jones will tell you that I never do anything without having a purpose behind it. And there is always a purpose behind it. And at the end of the day, it's about living my dream and being the best that I can be and helping others also live their dream and be the best that they can.
So you know that I'm going to ask you for a speech on that afterwards, right? Because I need you. We only have 10 minutes with you guys here, but I mean, you have to come and hear one of the speeches, Cindy, from her journey to near death experiences and her health, and even the commitment she made in her professional life to say that from now on, she's going to choose her. She gave a speech 2 weeks ago, and I'll never forget. She said, I came into the year knowing that it wasn't about resolutions, but it was about me choosing me. And so there's so much value you gain from Toastmasters that goes beyond speeches and leadership, but it canvases your whole life. A question that I have for you is, Cindy, with what you went through in your life and your health, how supportive would you say your Toastmasters community was or has been to you in your life? Do you feel that Toastmasters, it starts and stops with just a speech, or do you feel that there's so much more that you can gain from your community?
That's a great question, and thank you for that. I believe that the community saved me. I mean, I
Wow.
I had a team.
Got chills on that one.
I
Whew.
had a team, and that team grew up with me. Even though I was the oldest one and the first one in a district role, I had Roy Ganga underneath me, Vicki Nothing, Lana McFarland, Dwight Jones. They all were on my team and helped elevate me and be the best that I could be. They had been through every single story with me, every single speech with me almost. And it was about all of us mentoring each other. You said something the other day in the club about having a mentor at our club, and I was thinking, I could use a mentor, and who would my mentor be? Probably be, I know Roy looked at me because I was his mentor when he was growing up in Toastmasters,
Wow.
but he's also been my mentor and is now. And it has been a partnership of friendship and family. And because I'm allowed to give my speech and not have people judge me, some people might roll their eyes when they say, oh, there goes Cindy again, 19 surgeries, 2 near-death experiences. Kathleen Bingaman used to make fun of me and roll her eyes and do it on purpose. And she'd go, but she would be the first one that would come to the presentations that I would do at the conferences and
Oh,
support me and have the
oh,
greatest
man.
laugh. And I miss her because she has passed away, and I have video of her where I shared one of our stories of spending the day together, and just the fact that you have experiences that happen that become part of your life. And now in Toastmasters, people complain, and I am going to say this so that it gets out there. People complain that online has made it harder than in person. It's all what you choose it to be. Online has been perfect for me because I went through implant surgery and everybody was wearing a mask during COVID. I had to wear a mask because I lost my teeth and had to go through that surgery, but nobody knew except that I told everybody because I wanted people to know online is just as good, if not better in some cases, than it is to be in person. We just need to know how to do it and change our attitudes about it. So I hope that people will come online and see what a meeting's like. And if you want to go in person, that's great too. But no, we're in a different world and it's all what you make it.
Wow. Man, you are, you'll hear people talk about your Tony Robbins, your Lisa Nichols, your Mark Cubans. You'll hear people talk about these things, but you don't hear people talk about the everyday local superhero, celebrity, rock star. And that's what I feel like you are. That's who you are, Cindy. I'm listening to you speak and I'm getting chills. Like, she is a powerhouse speaker. And that's exactly it. Is we can have the most profound ideas, experiences, and just life lessons, but if we don't refine our way or ability to deliver those things, what we could impart to someone else to change their lives will never happen. It will never come to the surface. And just listening to you, it makes me like, how can I get Cindy in front of the world? Like, you're just amazing.
Well, you can. So I do have a show that I will be doing and opening a speaking school called Conversations with Cindy. And so that's a big secret for 3 years from now. It started and I will speak at different conventions in different places as well. But I want to give back and share. So we're there to help and mentor you as well. And you're very motivating to me. And I think you're the best cheerleader for everyone. You're in the perfect role right now, Toastmasters.
Oh, thank you, Cindy. My last question to you, I wish I could actually keep this conversation going because I know people who are watching this, I know you can tell that this is such an authentic, genuine conversation with Cindy. And even her answers are so candid and so full of life and vibrancy. If I could ask you this, what advice, if you could look into the camera and speak to that one person who's maybe apprehensive, maybe they think, oh gosh, I don't have it on my plate to add one more thing, or oh gosh, I can't part with the money to sign up for it, or what if I'm too shy to do the role, or what if I cannot give a speech without clamoring up, or even activate the leader in me? What advice would you give that one person who feels overwhelmed or intimidated with the process to help them know it's worth going all in?
That advice that I would give is that you have to show up. That was my theme as a district officer. You just have to show up and you just have to be there and it's 1 hour out of the day. That's all it is 1 hour out of a week, out of one day.
Wow.
I think if you live in the moment and you just be and soak up what other people are doing and then get involved, and I think every Toastmaster should be involved in an officer role. Even I will be an officer again, even though I've done every single role multiple times. I think everybody needs to be an officer, even if you don't have the time. You don't have the time. You can't afford to not do it because of what it will do and elevate you. I have not only been successful in sales, but I've been a recruiter for 37 years. Last year, I had my best year ever. The year before, I had my best year ever. At 64, I don't need to be at the prime of my career. I am, and I give Toastmasters a lot of credit for that because of the networking, because of meeting people, because of going to the seminars, because of taking care of me and the community within Toastmasters. It has changed my life. That's a short answer.
Wow. My gosh. Whew. Well, guys, listen, you've heard it. You've heard it from Cindy, live and direct. There was no scripting. I didn't even, I sent her the bulk of those questions, but there were a couple hidden surprises and that she still answered and was open about those things. If you find after watching this that you are at least inspired to learn more about Toastmasters, please visit our page at risingphoenixtoastmasters.org, but more importantly, also toastmastersinternational.org. You can find out so much about our club setup. You can find out about the process, what it really looks like, and even you can guess, you can visit. You can take your test run, just like you would a car with a test drive. And if you want to find Cindy, how do they find you, Cindy? Where could they find you if they want to work with you? If they want to get some coaching or mentoring from you, how could they find you?
You can find me by writing me at Toastmaster Cindy, Cindy, at gmail.com. Very simple.
Well,
Thank you so much,
guys,
Nina.
thank you so much, Cindy, for being here with me today and for letting me have this moment with you. And thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.